enough just to say it. Brave men like JohnHikel, who is a House representative, and brave men like Jack Kimball, who are crucified in the public arena for standing up for what is right, have to do something. And they did. 189 representatives will at some point have to explain why they violated their oath. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, 4 minutes with Jack and John to explain to you exactly what they did yesterday.
And we're going to make sure that some of our up on the website.
How you doing? All right. My name is JohnHikel. I represent the town of Goffstown in the state legislature. This is my 3rd term. One of the best things. Thank you very much. It's sometimes rewarding and sometimes not. But it's always interesting and a great learning experience. A little bit about my background. I've owned an auto repair shop for 25 years. I'm not one of the entitled class. I'm not one of the retired. I'm not one of the wealthy. I'm a worker, and I work every day alongside with my mechanics, but I find the time every week to come to serve you in the legislature. I grew up in central Maine, in a little town of 4,000 people. I think it still has 4,000 people. I've lived in New Hampshire now for about 30 years. The greatest state in the country, by far. Occasionally you'll hear my name in the news because they think I might have said something that was controversial. I deny it, but sometimes I would agree with them. But I know that the day that we have our oath read to us, in the beginning of December, after the election, I know that the words that I say, I can understand English and I certainly know what I read. And Article 85 in the New Hampshire Constitution, of which I have a bunch of free ones right over here, so help yourself, take them home with you. But Article 84 is the oath of civil officers, and the first part of that oath says, I, JohnHikel, do solemnly swear that I will bear faith and true allegiance to the United States of America and to the state of New Hampshire, and I will support the Constitution thereof, so help me God. I know what that means. So I looked at oaths, because I looked at our oath that we take in the legislature. Our oath, there are actually 2 oaths, and they are constitutional. There's 2 oaths on that piece of paper. I noticed that our oath, we only signed it one time at the bottom on some line at the bottom of this page, about 1.5 inches below the word signature. That was a flag to me. Never signed a contract or anything else below the word signature on some line. I also looked at it and I noticed that we didn't sign the top oath. So I went to the Secretary of State's office and I asked him, why do we do this? Oh, also, our signatures are not notarized. So I went to the Secretary of State's office and I started pulling oaths of attorney generals, judges, notary publics, commissioners, sheriffs, and every other oath taker that I could think of. And what I noticed was their oath has the same words as our oath, but they sign their name on the signature line under the first oath, under the second oath, and it's notarized by 2 justices of the peace or a JP and a notary. So I asked the Secretary of State, Bill Gardner, great friend of mine, wonderful guy, excellent Secretary of State, friend of all of ours, I have to say. But he couldn't really answer that. He said, the words are there in the Constitution, this is what it is. But something about that bothered me, so I sponsored a bill, HB 363, to study only a study bill, to study our oath, because I wanted to know more about it. And I thought the other 400 representatives and 24 senators should also know what they're signing. That went through the committee, and it was passed unanimous, with a majority of that committee being Democrat and the minority being Republican. It was a unanimous vote to study the oath, because the things that I had picked out were a little bit different, and they thought that it needed studying too. So that will be presented to the Senate very shortly. I looked online on Facebook, I think, and I saw this Honor Your Oath rally, and I know Jack Kimball, he's one of my old friends. Thought the world of Jack. I got to meet him when he was running for governor, and I truly, honestly respected him a lot. So I got a hold of him, and I said, you know, I sponsored a bill to study the oath, and you're doing this rally on the oath, so let's get together and talk about it. We went and had a meeting at his office, great meeting, and we started to think about other things that we could do. And at that time I said, you know what, I'm not going to wait for this bill to become a study committee. I'm going to file a redress of grievance, which is in Article 31 in our Constitution, that says the purpose of the legislature to meet is to redress grievances. When people have been wronged by their government, the purpose of our legislature to meet is to take care of those issues, and the other job is to sponsor and write legislation so that problem won't happen again. We end up doing a whole bunch of other things, but what we don't do is redress grievances. So under the Constitution, I said, well, I'm going to sponsor a bill. I'm not going to sponsor a bill. I'm going to sponsor a petition of redress, and I'm going to name 89 legislators in here that voted to diminish our rights one more time, and I want them to answer to this question. And this is where it's come. I've asked, and so through the redress petition procedure, constitutional procedure, I'm asking all 189 legislators to come clean, step down, and this isn't a partisan issue. I got to tell you, Democrats, Republicans, this isn't a partisan issue. I'm not looking for any particular group. I want everybody in here to respect the Constitution and respect the people that voted them into office. That's primarily over anything else, over the money, over the lobbyists, over the commissioners and the government agencies. Leave us alone. Let us represent the people that voted us in office to do the job for them. And that's where I came from. And thank you. I could talk about this a long time, obviously. And then we also filed that criminal complaint at the U.S. Attorney's Office yesterday, because we are taking this serious. Jeff and the rest of the speakers will say it, but that's just a little background how I got involved with this. So enjoy your day. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks, John. A couple quick announcements. Don't forget, reminder people to get a copy of the oaths. You can get a copy of all the oaths that we've collected. So what exactly are our public figures taking for oaths? You'll find that there aren't that much of a difference between them. So, so you can get copies of those where you signed in as well.
Crop TV.